welcome to My Life in Football. And I'm so pleased to say that coming on this episode of the show is a good friend. He's one of the gentlemen that he was always a bit scared to approach when I first started football. But we get to know this gentleman, absolutely a complete superstar. And so a massive welcome to Justin. How are we, sir?
I'm fine. Thanks a lot, mate. Kind words. Yeah. So yeah, I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
No problems whatsoever. So I suppose, Justin, one of the first things is, I mean, as we said to some of the others that have been on, I mean, where did you first start off in football? I mean, where was your first start? Was it as a player? Was it as a manager or coach, or where was your first step in
Uh,
the game?
well, I played football from a very early age, from the age of 2 up until 12, regularly. Youth football, obviously. And when I was about 12, I was playing for a club called Bancroft in East London. It was quite a big team at this time, and I got scouted by Arsenal and asked to come in on trial. Went down there, played an indoor game. And my manager sort of at the time, who, to be fair, my mum and dad didn't really pay much attention to football, so I didn't really have someone to look up to or someone to guide me really. So the manager, who funny enough is Jack Stevenson's dad. I don't know, Jack Stevenson, who's played for AB, currently Wolverhampton Abbey. Davy's name was. He was like my football dad, and he sort of didn't think it was the best decision for me to go to Arsenal, and sort of said to us, look, you got time on your side, they're not really the best option for you. And funny enough, the year after that, I think I became a teenager and discovered ladies, so to speak. And I think I got distracted. As I said, I didn't really have parents that would steer me in the right direction. I worked from the age of 13, 14, so I was sort of the breadwinner from the family from an early age. So my path took a different way, really. I went to work and etc. And then, funny enough, I didn't really. Obviously, I watched football. I became a season ticket holder at Tottenham for about 4 or 5 years, but didn't really play it or have anything to do with it. And then I think I was about 19 years of age, 19, 20 years of age, in Leighton Orient. There was an opportunity to go work with Leighton Orient as a coach in the community. They said they'll put me on my level 1 and level 2, etc., which they did. And yeah, I got the bug back. And then what happened was they used to do a program on a Thursday with young men that came out of prisons and etc. and used to just play a game to keep them occupied. And they were short of a player one day. And then my boss at the time said to me, "Would you be interested in playing?" I was like, "Me? I've not played since I was a kid, really." And I borrowed a pair of boots. I was a centre mid when I was a kid, and I borrowed a pair of boots, went right back, and I was just got the bug back for it, really. Then I started playing football again. Can't remember where I started playing for a team, but my memory serves me. I started playing for Bethnal Green United, who were playing low level football at the time. Then I went on to play for Eton Manor in the Essex Senior League, and then yeah, that's where I really stopped, really, in terms of playing football serious at Eton Manor. Then I went to Walthamstow Avenue, which was in the Middlesex County League, and I broke my leg. I think it was about 26, 27, and I was off work for 3 or 4 months, and I didn't think I was good enough anyway to get to the level where I wanted to. And the kind of person I am, if I can't be the best at it, then I'm not going to do it, really. So yeah, Bethnal Green offered me. As I said, I was at Walthamstow Avenue. It was a famous club back in the day, but they restarted that Walthamstow Avenue 2000, so to speak. And then the chairman, Noel, at Bethnal Green United, said, "Why don't you come and be player manager?" So I did that. In my first season, we won the Middlesex County Alex Smith Premier Division Cup, and runners up in another cup. And then the following year, the chairman sat me down and said, "Look, I think you need to decide if you're going to play or manage." And I spoke to my family, and I just said, "Look, as I said, I want to be the best at it. I'm not going to get to the highest level I would have possibly got to, maybe the Rhinos League at the time, or back to the Senior League, and that's not good to me." So I decided to manage. And yeah, pretty much the rest of the history. I got into management. Well, funny enough, to be honest, when I was at Walthamstow Avenue, the manager left. We lost the game quite heavily, and the secretary said, "Will you manage the team on a temporary basis?" There was about 8 games to go. They were practically relegated. And I just drafted in a few of my mates and kept them up. And that's where I got the bug for it. And I think that's when Noel, Bethnal Green chairman, said, "Oh, come and be player manager." And then going back to Bethnal Green, I think it was the 2008-9 season, where we won the league and won the cup and got promoted to Essex Senior League. But going just back to that I always recall that as probably the springboard of my managerial career, really, that season in the Middlesex County Premier Division, because we was behind the team by like 10 points. They were called Parkside. I'm sure they were called Parkside. I don't know if it got anything to do with the team that's in the Boston League now, but anyway, we was about 10 points behind them before Christmas, and the only way to win the league, and only one win up at the time to get promoted to step 5, was to win every single game. And we were winning. We went on a run about 5, 10, 15 games, and we came up to playing them, and we had to win that game. And I'll never forget it. There was a lad called Nathan that played for me, and we was at Milan Stadium, and he stepped up and scored a free kick in the 93rd minute to win the game 2-1. It was one of the best free kicks I've ever seen in my life, and we won the league. We went on to win the league and got promoted to Essex Senior League, which was a huge step from step 7 to step 5. And I loved the Essex Senior League at the time. I think we won the Alex Smith Cup, not Alex Smith, sorry, Gordon Braston, and the Essex Senior League Cup in our first season. And I think we finished about 3rd, 4th in the league. And yeah, I had good. Funny enough, I had good battles with Stansted at the time. I think us and Stansted were the best teams in the league. They picked us to the league once or twice, and I had a very good team there. Where I managed to convince some of my mates that were playing in the Ryman Prems at the time and the Ryman's North to come and play for me in the Essex Senior League, and we had a very, very good team. And yeah, I enjoyed that time. It was a very competitive league in the Essex Senior League, and then in my final season at Bethnal Green, we got to the quarterfinals of the FA Bars. And before we played the tie, Aveley came in for me, approached me. I sort of turned it, I turned it down straight away, because I had a dream that if I left, Bethnal Green would get to Wembley and I would have the biggest regret in my life. So I turned it down. And then we travelled up to Newcastle to play Dunstable. Stayed in the hotel. It was a great experience, and we lost the game quite heavily. I think 4-2 or 3-1, I think, in front of a crowd of maybe about 600-700 people. Sky Sports was there. We got interviewed after the game. They came to our change rooms. And on the way up to the game, which was probably a bit, I'll say, I wish it never happened that way. Craig contacted me on the coach on the way to the game and said to me, basically, if you lose the game, would you be interested in taking the job? And I said, in hindsight, yes, but I can't answer that question until we play the game.
Yeah.
And then, so I sort of gave Craig my word, if we lost the game, that I would come and meet him the next day and practically accept the job. And we lost the game. I asked Dunstable if I could use their meeting boardroom. I pulled all the club, because no one at the club knew, no chairman, no one, none of the players. And it was probably one of the hardest decisions I made in football, because they were friends. There was people that was my friends outside of football. You meet people through football and become your friends, but they were my friends before I brought them to Bethnal Green. And I got them all in the meeting room and just said, look, guys, I think this is the furthest I can take the club. We also failed on ground grading to get promoted. We were second in the league at the time with 3 games in hand and 6 points behind. We definitely would have won the league that season without a shadow of doubt. We had the best team in the league that season. And I just sat them down and said, look, I've been given an opportunity to step up. Aveley were practically relegated from the Ryman's Prem at the time. I think they just got rid of Carl Griffiths. Mm-hmm. So, yes, I said to them, look, I'm going to meet Aveley tomorrow and I'm probably going to take the job. I went and met Craig. I think it was on a Monday, if I'm not mistaken. On a Monday, I went to meet Craig because we came back from Newcastle Sunday evening. I think Monday afternoon, I went to meet Craig and Graham, agreed terms, and the remit was just to try and build a squad for the following season, because they knew they was practically relegated.
So what year was that, Justin? What year did you?
2011. February 2011. That was. I'll never forget it. Yeah.
So good times, of course, at Bethnal Green. Going on to them, literally, was that a completely different sort of standard of football from the Essex Senior League? Was it a big jump? I know some people say to me there's quite a big jump between the leagues in non-league, but was it a big jump
from Essex Senior League to Ryman's Prem?
Yeah, Ryman's Prem.
From the Middlesex County to Essex Senior League.
Yeah. So from
what one?
From moving into Aveley, was that a big jump for you?
Okay. obviously it was two levels on paper, but I didn't feel that it was a big jump for me personally. No, because my ambition is still is, and at the time was to manage as high as possible. So no, I think I came in and done quite well. I don't think the team won any games in about 10 or 15 games. I think we got some good points and probably was, I'm not sure how many points. We were probably about 5 or 6 points from staying up, if I'm not mistaken. And the club was buried really. So it was that. I think that helped me to sort of get the support on my side and the fans on my side. And yeah, I enjoyed it. If I'm honest with you, I think my first game was Wingate and Finchley at home. We lost 2-1, last minute winner. They scored. Then we went to Lowestoft, and at Lowestoft at the time, I think they were playing in front of crowds of 3, 4, 5,000. That was a big culture shock to me, if I'm honest with you, because I've gone from Bethnal Green, which at the time, to be fair to Bethnal Green, was 200 people was watching us at the Milan Stadium because we built a good fan base up there. And then when we went to obviously Aveley, there was probably maybe in the Ryman's Premier probably about 180, 200 as well. So going to Lowestoft on a Saturday, and yeah, when I saw their big stand, it was full, and it was quite a bit of a shock. But we lost the game 1-0, and the best that always stuck in my head because the Lowestoft supporters, like I said, 3, 4,000 clapped our players off the pitch. When I went into the clubhouse, I was quite overwhelmed, quite mobbed, if I'm honest with you, by a lot of the Lowestoft supporters saying we played Aveley a few weeks ago and they were embarrassing, and no disrespect to the people before, and they just said like you're so unlucky. And yeah, so I think that sort of I think that the chairman Graham and Craig probably felt, yes, we've hired the right man here, and looking forward to the following season. So yeah, and like I said, that season they was practically relegated, and my remit was just to build for the following season, which I did, and obviously we got to the playoffs the following season. Yeah.
So what was the? I mean, looking from the outside in at Aveley and Aveley, there was always that sort of real sort of big rivalry between you and Thurrock. Was it? Did you see that yourself as well when you were coming up to those sort of games? It was always seemed to be red cards, yellow cards, and God knows what else going on in those sort of games. But I mean, were they massive battles for you?
Well, honestly, the truth is the rivalry started between we played Thurrock at home, and we beat them in my first season in the Ryman's North at the time. And someone came up to me and said it's the first time Avery ever beaten them in their history, or it was ridiculous years, like 80, 90 years or something. I can't. It was ridiculous. Basically, it was the first time that Avery had beat them in probably as long as we've all been alive. And at the time, we had a good media team, and I was being interviewed at the other end of the ground. And I was one of the last to come off the pitch. All the players and etc. was on their way to the change rooms. And by the time I came off the pitch after being given my media talk, I saw Craig Johnson and Dave Knight's father arguing. I just watched, and then I saw Mark Stimpson got involved, and I'm not going to make no secret. He called Craig a nasty word, which I'm sure you've all heard, and I'm not going to repeat it on camera. And I just felt it was bang out of order, and I told Mark Stimpson that, and that's how the rivalry started. Before that, I had no problem with Mark Stimpson, and maybe because I was supporting Craig, that's how the rivalry started. Before that, there was no rivalry between me and any Thurrock players or Thurrock management, and from that day forward, there was always animosity, really.
There were always games that you looked at and you thought, especially if you was involved when I was at that time with Harlow as well, and you sort of in the same sort of leagues as well. You're looking at those thinking, wow, we've got them in a couple of weeks' time. They might be, some of this one might be missing, or that one might be missing, or whatever else, because you just never knew. But I mean, was there any other big rivalries as well? Any stories or any rivalries that you can think of that with Aveley that you enjoyed?
Well, actually, I enjoyed the Thurrock one because I've got a better record over them in terms of I've won more games than I've lost playing against them. So I enjoyed that rivalry. They said the Tilbury was rivalry. I didn't really see it, if I'm honest with you. Another one was probably Haybridge, funny enough. There was never, and I think that's still continuing now. That sort of followed me really to whatever club I went. But yeah, apart from that, no, unless I'm missing something, no, I can't really think of anything. No, it was just Thurrock really.
Was there games that you look forward to there yourself? Was this
I love the Thurrock game.
But was there games that you knew that you were coming up and you were playing this team and you knew full well that you know, there was a manager there and you knew you could sort of get under their skin a little bit and whatever. And I know when we advertised the show through social media, I said Marmite, but it's that type of thing with yourself. You know, I think a lot of people don't see this side of you. A lot of people just see the side of Justin Gardner when he goes across the white line on a Saturday or a Tuesday night. And I mean that sort of side of it. Did you sort of sometimes use that to your advantage with certain managers that you felt that you could probably get the better of before you even step on the pitch?
Oh, without a shadow of doubt, there's a few managers that I know when we're playing that I've beaten before we've even played them. Because for whatever reasons, I put fear. They're fear. I don't know what it is, but yeah, if you're asking me, do I feel that there's some managers I beat them, and it doesn't matter what team they put at, because of their manager, they're going to lose the game. Yeah, without a shadow of doubt, I do. I'm not going to reveal those managers because some of them are still managing. But in terms of going back to your question, saying I'm like, Mom, I agree with that, but anyone that's worked for me, worked with me, worked for me, players that played for me, or chairmen, it's no coincidence that I'm close to every chairman that I've worked for. Going from Bethnal Green, even down to Walthamstow Avenue, his secretary still comes and sends me a happy Christmas, happy birthday every year. And he comes to watch our games once a year. Obviously, as I said, I'm close to Graham at Aveley and Craig. I'm in constant conversation with Craig weekly. And obviously, Glenn Tampion's a friend of mine at Billericay. And obviously, I'm currently at Barking. So I don't make no bones about it that when I'm on a football pitch, I'm horrible, and my wife's even told me that. My wife's come to watch me, and she doesn't like the person she sees on a football pitch. But I think it's my zone. It's as I said to someone funny enough a few years ago, a manager said to me, Justin, if you was a bit more nice and maybe buttered people up, in other words, be a brand noser, you'd probably be managing in the conference. And he's possibly right, but at the same time, I don't think I'll be the manager I am. So, as I said, win, lose or draw, there's no manager can say that I've not. Even Mark Stimpson, I shake his hand after every game. He refuses. That's his choice. But win, lose or draw, there's no manager that you can interview that say I refuse to shake their hand or I'm a bad loser. But for 90 minutes, whether I'm playing against my family, I want to win, and I won't make no mistakes about it. And if I take that out of myself, I think I'll be a different manager, and I'm probably not as good, if I'm honest with you.
No, dead right. I mean, games for Aveley, then, as you started in that sort of first season, were there memorable games for you? Was there certain games that you played that were, you know, that always will stick in your memory?
Yeah, there's a lot of games. Obviously, one game that stuck in my head. We went to Histon away in the FA Cup, and Histon, as you know, probably at the time was just on their way down from the conference. They got a couple of they got relegated a couple of leagues, and was still quite a big club, had big resources. And we went to their grand underdogs, as you can imagine, and we won 5-0. And I'll never forget it. The chairman came up to me and said it's probably the best result in his history since he's been chairman of the club. It was a great day. That season, we was one game away from being in the first round properly, which would have got us on TV. We lost to a team in Exeter. I can't remember the name of the team now. Solomon Town, last day of the season to secure our playoff place, even though we would have got it whether we lost or not in the 2012-2000 season. There's a lot of games. There's one game that stuck out. I got married in 2012. I said to my wife after the wedding, we're going to go to the game in our suits, in our wedding dress. I got to the game 20 minutes late. We was 2-0 up against Brentwood at Aveley. All my wife, myself, my groomsmen, we all turned up at the game all suited and booted. And I think the players were gobsmacked, really, that I've turned up on my wedding day. And we won the game 3-0, and the players threw me up in the air in my wedding suit. I'll never forget that. That was a special moment. And there's a lot of special moments at Aveley. Look, I'm the longest serving manager in their history. I'm well liked by the fans. Obviously not the new fans, because there's new fans I know since the new stadium's been open. I'm talking about my time when I was there, post my time there. But there's a lot of games. I'm probably missing a lot of games, and people will probably come and mention after that I've missed a lot of games. But what I do remember about that season when we got to the playoffs, we had a hashtag called Aveley Family at the time, and it used to rally a lot of teams. I remember some players from opposition teams that were friends of mine said that their managers would stick it on the changing room wall, or print a tweet that I'll put out the week before the game. And it used to wind a lot of people up in their WhatsApp groups and that. And we was a family. there's a video on YouTube that you can see that Scott Haitley did, and it was a special season, yeah. And as I said, we got to the playoff semi-finals, and funny enough, we lost to Terry Splain's Morden.
But I mean, in that side of it, I mean, that they would be sort of like quite getting to that sort of semi-final and then losing, of course, to Terry in that game, as you mentioned in the last show. I mean, was that a high for you, or was that a big sort of low for you in that after that game? Was it high because you got there, or was it a low because you actually got beaten?
Oh, I was devastated. And fair play to Jody Brown at the time. Came up to me, and you could see he consulted me, and he was yeah. I really appreciated it. He said some kind words that day. The funny thing about that semi-final is, and no disrespect to Morden, but we went 1-0 up, and Junior Pye got sent off after 30 minutes. And I believe if he didn't get sent off, we would have won the game. We was even the better team with 10 men. And there's videos to watch it. Everyone can see the game themselves and have their own opinion. But yeah, we went down to 10 men after 30 minutes, and the playoff semi-final was against a Morden team that was strong, very, very strong, very strong. And we were strong, you know. We had the Dadsons, the Alex Reed, Jordan Cox, Jay Leaders, Pat Elby, Junior Pye, Danny Hopkins, Billy Holland. So we were strong. So yeah, but it upset me, because if we would have never men and lost, I probably wouldn't have been that upset and just been okay. We lost to the better team, but obviously it don't sit well when you lose a man after 30 minutes. And to be fair, Morden targeted Junior Pye, which I don't blame them. If I could do that to a player, I would do the same. They knew that it could get into his head, and it worked really.
I mean, looking at some of the names you just ruled off there, and I know I've heard Craig say it, I've heard other people say it as well. I mean, if you would have managed, to keep some of the players playing for you, in the time that you was at Aveley, you would have had some side there, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but we had a budget of £700 a week, and that squad I just named to you, that they all came in within that £700, and I think the following season, about 6 or 7 of them probably maybe got 6 or 7 times more money elsewhere, and I couldn't blame them. Yeah. The only one who stayed was Jay Leader, and not because he never had offers. I think if you ask Craig Johnson, even to this day, I don't think he's had more 7 days from clubs than Jay Leader in the history of Aveley, if I'm honest with you. I don't think there was a week where went by that a club from all levels didn't put 7 days for him, but he was low. And in fact, I had to sort of tell him, look, you need to go and earn yourself some good money now, because I do care about players, and he was playing for me for peanuts. So yeah, if we would have kept that side together, we would have walked the league the following season, yeah, without a shadow of doubt. And that was a heartbreak, because I knew that those players, they wanted to get us promoted, so we stuck together. But if we didn't, they was going to leave, because some of those players were getting £30-40 a week, and those names, I'm sure you know that they're well paid now in non-league, and rightly so, because they've gone on to all those names I've named to you have won many trophies after leaving Aveley, and are some of the best players in non-league right now.
So I mean, with some of those players, the likes of the Dadsons and the Pyres and Reed and exception Leaders. I mean, are you proud that they used to play for you and that you helped them along their way, or are you disappointed that you'd love to have had them for a bit longer?
Well, obviously, I would like to have a bit longer, but I'm a realist. If a player's going to leave for an extra 50 quid or something like that, or double their money and the traveling's a bit further, yeah, it won't sit well with me. But some of the players I've just named you, they didn't have to work full time. Some of the deals that they got, so I couldn't knock them. No, some of them, yes, I was a bit disappointed. So, funny enough, Junior Pye was the one I think he stayed with us. I think the following season, but left 2 or 3 months later to go Morden. Funny enough, so there was a few that I felt made bad career choices at the time. But football's about opinions, and some have gone on to prove that they made great choices, and some haven't, and that's football. I don't hold any grudges against none of them, no.
So was that sort of the playoff semi-final? Was that the sort of the highlight of being at Aveley, or was there other matches that came up, or other seasons that sort of were sort of as good as that, or level with that?
Yeah, that was obviously the highlight. The high position we finished, but we overachieved every season. If I'm honest with you, I never forget my captain asking Craig, "What do you expect Justin to achieve with that budget?" And he said, "Fall from bottom." So, well, we obviously broke that every single season, and yeah, like I said, I'm proud of what I achieved at Avery with £700 a week budget. Listen, chairmen probably hate that I reveal their budgets, but I'm an honest person, and I think if everyone would build their budget at the beginning of the season, you'd see who the best managers are in non-league, really.
And I mean, are you sort of looking at the new ground at Parkside, wishing that you were still there and still sort of managing at Aveley? When you see that,
well, you can't say I don't. No, you don't regret. It was my decision.
Yeah.
And like as I said, there was in my 4.5 years there. I never had a fallout of anyone or anything like that. But there was just something that basically didn't sit well with me that when I had a meeting. I couldn't look the players in the eyes really for what the club. Well, basically, I can say a part of it, but they was going to cut the budget by £100 because if we would have gone out the Vars the following week, and I just couldn't look at the players really who I left third in the league when I left Aveley and tell them that they got to take a pay cut. So, if I'm honest with you, I was going to leave Aveley that summer. I had a few offers, but my assistant Anton Stevenson convinced me to stay. So I think that was in the back of my mind, and probably did I make a hasty decision? Some say I did. Some said I should have maybe just saw it that season and then gone into the new stadium. But I went my heart on my sleeve. I don't like to have regrets in football, really. And like I said to you, Aveley are doing good things now, and I wish them all the best. And I always look out for their result. But yeah, I don't have any regrets, if I'm honest with you. But yeah, Aveley is a lovely club.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. You talk to people through this, and there's certain memories that you have of that person that sticks in your mind through non-league. And I haven't been in it as long as you have. Only been in it sort of 6 or 7 years, but there's you've memories of yourself. There's memories of Terry and so forth. And I think one of my biggest memories of yourself was a game against Harlow, and I think it was at the end of the game, or before the end of the game. I'm not sure if it was at the end of the game, or you've been sent to the stands. And I remember you coming across and the jacket going flying and going down the tunnel and so forth like that. But and they were sort of memories that I always remember of you. Do you know what I mean? Because you're so passionate about what you're saying and and what you're doing on the pitch. When that always sits in my mind that somebody who's as passionate as that was really sort of like up for that sort of game against Harlow. But people like Harlow with that really sort of fanatic crowd behind you. How do you cope with that?
Well, actually, I never got sent off in that game. I was walking towards the tunnel because the manager of Harlow said he threatened me, and so I said, "I'll see you in the tunnel." I never got sent off in that game.
Yeah, so sorry for what it was. I remember you coming towards the tunnel. Yeah.
Yeah, I went to the tunnel because I wanted to be there to see if he was gonna carry out his threat. Really, it was all handbags at the time. We actually get on very well now. But yeah, that was it. He threatened me in the dugout, said something I didn't like, and as I said, I just said to him, I'll see you in the tunnel. And that was it, really. So I took off my blazer suit, as you saw at the time. And actually, that game, I was getting water bottles and chewing gum thrown at me from the Harlow fans at the time. So, and I think a steward came in and removed one of them. And I was getting a bit of stick from, as I said, Danny Chapman. And I just said to him, okay, well, back your talk up, really, go to the change. It was handbags, really. We shook hands after.
But how do you cope with that? Because I would have thought people like yourself, people like yourself and, somebody like Jody as well. I mean, and others. I mean, how do you cope as a man, should we say, and as a manager? How do you cope with that type of abuse? No disrespect through being there in the dugouts, and of course, as I've seen, even in the last couple of days, you make a comment on, on Facebook or on Twitter through your accounts, and people sort of jumping on you and abusing you through social media and abusing you in games. I mean, how do you cope with that? And especially with having a young family as well, if your young boys there or whatever else, how do you sort of cope with that as a dad, as a manager, and as a man?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I've got no problem with fans giving stick if as long as it doesn't cross the borderline. And the times that you've seen me or people see me rallies is because I think they've gone way over the line. Like I said, throwing things, I don't think that should happen. I'm a human being. If someone threw something at me in the street, I'm not going to accept it. So why should I accept it at a football ground? I've been racially abused at football grounds. That's something I won't stand for. I've had water thrown at me. But if someone's just telling me, giving me stick, like swearing at me and all that, that's part and parcel of the game. I don't retaliate to that. But as I said to you, I've been at, like I said, I don't even want to name the club, but I think it was last season, 2 seasons ago, Yeah, it was last season actually. I was at a away game and I was racially abused, and my 6-year-old son said to me, "Dad, why has the fan said to you to go back to where you come from?" Now, how do I explain that to a 5-year-old? So yeah, they're the kind of things that I won't stomach, and I don't care that there's rules. If someone's going to racially abuse me or threaten me, I'm going to stick up for myself,
Yeah.
and I won't change.
So is it games like that then that you can actually physically look at, and through your experience, you know, if your young son wants to come with you and with your wife, is there some games that you look at and go, maybe don't bring him to this one?
Yeah, well, in fact, that's why my wife don't come to many games, because if anyone did say that to my wife, I probably wouldn't be
Mm.
um, responsible for what would happen, obviously. But yeah, my son comes to it because he loves it. He plays for Barking Football Club. My oldest son used to come when I was all my clubs, so he loves it, and I won't stop him from coming. Of course not. And is there a game that? Not really, because why should he be stopped from coming to a game? Because unless obviously that that club, I feel is going to be violent towards me that day, then maybe for his protection I might not bring him. But I've not felt that. Like, no, it's just obviously the stick that you get, really.
So
I've got no problem with fans giving
yeah,
stick,
yeah,
but like I said, don't cross the borderline. And one thing, one thing I don't like about football teams is when they beat you, they give you stick. And I'll give you a perfect example. Hayward beat us earlier on in the season. Um, we took it. We never retaliated. We went into the clubhouse, ate their food. We all stayed for an hour, had drinks, bought drinks from their bar. No problem. Hey, we beat Haybridge on Saturday. None of their fans, none of their supporters, but I think the vice chairman and a couple of players came into our bar. They all went straight home. The fans were giving us stick through the tunnel. So where's the sportsmanship in that? Like, if you give it, you've got to be able to take it, and that's the thing I don't like about football. Really,
yeah.
I give it. I give it. By no means I give it, and I have to be willing to take it when I give it.
So I mean, when you left Millfield and then you went on, I mean, what was the difference between going from Millfield, as you said, £700 a week budget, and then all of a sudden we're going to Billericay and probably not a £700 a week budget.
Probably, yeah. It's probably one player was on £700 a week. Yeah. Um, oh, it was it was a whirlwind. If I'm honest with you, it didn't seem like reality. It did seem like it was another world. If I'm honest with you, but I loved every minute of it. Being joint manager with the chairman at the time, I loved every minute of it. And the only reason I left, if I'm all honest with you, is because Glenn didn't want me to leave, and I'm sure if you ever get to interview and you'll ask him, he never wanted me to leave. And the only reason I left is because I, I'm not saying I couldn't work with someone, but I, I, I feel like I feel like I have to have a final say really on team selections and things like that. And we were doing it together, and that was it really. Like there was nothing in it. And if I'm all honest with you, a lot of people said I shouldn't have left there because Glenn was I was well looked after by Glenn in terms of so and Glenn, me and Glenn are close now. He's a friend. And we still speak regularly. So, but again, like I said, I'm a football man, and I probably didn't like that. I, I probably didn't like the celebrity side of it, if I'm honest with you. Which don't get me wrong, if Glenn didn't do that, Billy Ricky wouldn't be nowhere where they are right now. And anyone that gives him stick, they ain't got a clue, because if Glenn could bottle up the media frenzy that he done to get Billy Ricky to where they are, he would make a lot of money from that. Because, as I said to you, Billy Ricky was probably having 200 people watching him before Glenn come in, and he's single-handedly getting a regular 12, 1,300 people a week there. Yes, they've got good players, so people want to have a look at that. But it was his media, where some people think it was bad. I think it was the right thing to do because it got all the newspapers interested. So, as I said, a lot of clubs could look at that really, maybe take the good parts from it. He held his hands up and said there were some parts that he didn't do right, but a lot of it for me, it was spot on because it got an interest.
And of course, again, as you just said, you know, all the talk over social media, and there's millions and millions, weren't there, tweets going out all over the place, and the talk in non-league football was all Billericay, all Billericay, all Billericay. And of course, that situation, of course, then provokes more and more interest, gets them more and more into the public eye, and you've got to stand back and say you've done an absolute brilliant job on it.
Oh, look, I work with Glenn. Glenn wears his heart on his sleeve like me. He's the first to admit he's not a football coach. He's a manager of people though, because that's how he's got his business to where it is. And if I'm honest with you, there's very few people that have inspired me in life, and he motivated me. And you probably don't. You look at me and probably think I don't need much motivating because that's probably one of my strengths. But he definitely motivated me, and that was one of his biggest strengths. He did motivate. But yeah, so he's a bit like me, wears hearts on his sleeve. We've both probably done things that we regret, but we probably wouldn't be the people where we are if we changed.
Yeah. I mean, I still remember when you guys came in. It was yourself and Glenn, and I think Paul Konchesky came in, and Billy Bricknell came into the show with me and Keith. And I remember we were setting up.
Oh, yeah.
You guys were sitting on the table to the right of us and discussing who he was going to bring in on what money and all the rest of it. And sort of, I'm looking at Keith, Keith's looking at me going, "Gee whiz!" And it was just absolutely mind blowing to actually sort of to hear some of the numbers. But it was but only in context of non-league football, not into context of sort of professional football, but into context of what some of these players are on in non-league football. But it's say when you see those sort of players coming through, it must have been like a kid at Christmas, because it was you could almost have whoever you wanted.
Yeah, well, look, I brought in a lot of good players there, and the ones that I did bring in, funny enough, was probably some of the lowest paid players. Obviously, Glenn brought in the Koncheskis, the O'Haras, and things like that. But so yeah, it was crazy. And some of them, he was telling me, look, we've got this money to go and get this striker, and I think I didn't even have that as a weekly budget at Aveley. So yeah, but one thing Glenn said, which stuck with me, he said the reason why he felt he liked to pay over the odds is because he would demand so much from the person, and they have to deliver. So that was his way of looking at it. He admitted that he paid over the odds, but he said if he pays people over the odds, then he demands much more from them, and they have to deliver. So, he obviously wanted to get to where he wanted to get very quickly. So maybe that's how he looked at it. So, like I said, you can't. I think I won the League Cup there as the manager. I won the under 23s I was managing under 23s as well. So I won 2 trophies there in less than half a season. So for me, it was good times.
So was the League Cup the highlight for you then?
Oh yeah, because went to Carl Shorten, probably the best 4G we've ever played on. Was it 9-1 or something? I can't remember, 9-3 or something. I can't remember the score, but it was ridiculous. I think Billy Bricknell got an hat-trick. But yeah, it was that was a highlight. And then obviously, funny enough, that day is when I think the R. Kelly song went viral, which I managed to slip out the changing room. I think it was probably the best thing I ever did, to be fair. But yeah, like I said, it was good times, and I wish Billy Ricky fans are constantly messaging me, private messaging me on text or on Twitter, always saying we're looking out for your results, you're a passionate manager, and they love my management style, and etc. And even the players. And Paul Konchesky is someone I still regularly speak to, and he actually enjoyed working under me.
So when you had over your time and up to the Billy Ricky side of it, I mean, you've had, in my opinion, 2 of the best strikers in sort of Rymer League or Boston League, whichever you want, in Alex Reid and Billy Bricknell. I mean, if you could only take one of them, which one would you take?
Well, I've had Jordan Cox as well. Jordan Cox in my first season at Aveley was up there with one of them, but that's a tough call. I personally, I'd have to say Billy Bricknell.
Mm-hmm. Is he what everybody tells me? He's almost like a beast when he's playing. He's one of those players that he's just different gravy to everybody else.
We had a young striker at Billy Ricky called Glody. He actually came to me in Barking in my first season, and he said to me, I said to him, look, just watch Billy Bricknell, how he finds space in the box. And he said, Justin, I've learnt more in 2 weeks training with this boy than I've learnt in my whole career playing with people. You can't teach it, if I'm honest with you. The space that he finds in the box, it amazes me, because he's not a player that's going to run past the centre back for pace. And I'm sure he doesn't mind me saying that. I'll probably get a bit of stick from him for saying that. But he just you can't same like Alex Reid really. You just can't coach it. They just know where to be for the when the ball's going to land. You could do as many training sessions as you want on that, but you can't. I personally don't think you can coach that. You're born with that. You're 100% born with that, and that's the biggest thing. When I just see some of the goals Billy scores, it's just incredible because he just knows where to be, and he's promised me to play for me for a season before he retires, and I'll hold him to that. Play for me again, so I say.
So from the Billericay experience, then, I mean, how did the Barking job come about?
Well, as I said, I was at Billericay, and Steve Willis and Glenn Golby got Barking promoted from the Essex Senior League. Steve Willis has played for me for a number of years at different clubs, Bethnal Green and Averley, and he contacted me and said, "Look, if you don't come and manage the club, we're probably going to get relegated." So I said to him, "Look, I was being paid quite nicely at Billericay, so I said you have to make it worth my while." And Willis managed to himself put a package together that he sort of sponsored really to get me to come in. And I made it clear to him that I wanted to work with Glenn Golby. I didn't want it to just be me as a sole manager. And Willis said he would step down and just play. And that's what happened. And I actually enjoyed that, working with Glenn Golby, because it was two people sharing the responsibilities. We both knew the strengths and weaknesses of each other, as Glenn Golby played for me as well when I was at Bethnal Green. So I enjoyed that very much. And then Glenn Golby, due to, I think he had a little girl, a baby daughter, and commitment, Barking never trained when they was in the SEC League, believe it or not. So that's another achievement that they've done. They won the league without training. But we, obviously, when I've come in, I've tried to make it more professional, and we've gone to training 2 days a week. And Golby just couldn't commit to that. So he stepped down and he left. Yeah, obviously, I took sole charge, really.
And it changed the Ryman North from when he was in it before?
It's much more money in it. Much more money. When in my first season in the Bostik North, and that was no disrespect to anyone, I knew we'd make the playoffs before the season even started. Now, yeah, like I said, the money in the league is frightening. There's people that are earning probably what I earn a week in my full-time job, playing football in the Bostik North, training twice a week. So, yeah, that's the only difference, really. There's always been money in it, but like I said to you, in my first season, I think there was probably only 3 or 4 teams that had big money. The rest was probably on not too dissimilar, maybe a few £100 in it. But now there's teams that are like fifth from bottom that we've got 3-4 grand a week wages. So it's frightening, yeah. But probably Billericay never helped that, if I'm honest with you. I'll say that because the wages that Billericay have got have obviously made players think they're worth more than what they are in terms of other players that have other clubs. So that didn't help, and I think that sort of shaped non-league up really. And there's probably obviously more money in non-league, and there's more people that want to be successful really. And the 4G pitches are obviously helping massively to generate income for these clubs as well. That the clubs that have got them.
Are you for the pitches, or are you against them?
As a player, I'm against them. If I played, I wouldn't want to play on them. As a manager, it's the best decision that any club can make because you get to train twice a week. You can choose your times when you want to train. You know your training's never going to be cancelled. You're not going to have a double booking. You're not going to be scrambling to find somewhere to train on a Tuesday. And you can get all your youth teams on it. I can get my 23s to train next to me so I can watch them. The income that it's going to generate. So it's a non-brainer for me, if I'm honest with you.
I mean, you were talking about the game at the weekend. I mean, that's a fantastic result. 4-1 against Hayward Swifts. I mean, must have been really enjoyable for you to beat, to put them. And I've probably broke quite a few people's bets, I would have thought, over the weekend if they're allowed to.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Like I said, I'm not gonna lie about it. I did enjoy that victory because I remember how they treated me when they beat us early in the season. So we did our homework on them, and I'll be honest with you, the conditions I thought would change that because the conditions for both teams was, I'm sure you're able to get play on Saturday, but I'm sure that if you went to watch a game, you saw the conditions on Saturday was a farce really. If I had my way, the game wouldn't have played because it just wasn't a level playing field for both teams. But then saying that, we've gone and scored 4 goals. Hayward has scored 1 goal. So for the spectators, it probably was a good day and value for money. But yeah, we did our homework, and I think we adapted to conditions much better. And if I'm honest with you, we were stronger than them.
I mean, I always notice when fixtures come out, normally Premier League fixtures come out, and you look at them and you see like teams and you think, wow, they've got a really tough start to the season, or wow, they've got a really tough, run into the season, and you've got the tough running in the season, haven't you? I mean, Struth. I mean, who pulled these fixtures out of the bag for you? You know, Haybridge Swifts last week, Bowers and Pitsea, Bury Town, Grays Athletic, then you got Mildenhall, Basildon, and then you finish with Aveley and Morden.
Yeah. To be fair to you, you're right. I looked at those pictures a few weeks ago when I'm not saying we was ever in danger of getting dragged into a relegation, but football's a funny old game. You never know. But I did look at them and I thought, Jesus, no one's really the heavens ain't really praying for me, are they? But yeah, it's funny. My record against the top teams is probably better than the teams at the bottom, which is strange. I've never put my finger on it. I don't think I prepare any different. I don't know if the players prepare any different. But yeah, like I said, I looked at, you're right, after we beat Solent Town last week, I looked at our run and I thought, I think 5 of those teams in the playoffs, 4 of those teams in the playoffs, Bury 6. Miden were fighting for their lives to stay in the league. So on paper, and there's no disrespect, you probably think the one where we should be thinking we may get a chance of getting anything will be Basildon, really. But apart from that, then you wouldn't be surprised if we lost every single game on paper in terms of the teams that we're playing against and their squads. But that probably goes the other way for us. In terms of it gets us up for the game, you know.
Are you looking? I mean, is the Aveley game on the 23rd? Looking at that one, and is that the first time you'll go back to Aveley as?
No, I played them twice last season, beat them twice already. So
yeah, sorry.
That wasn't. Yeah, we played them twice already, and we played them this season already at Aveley and drew 1-1. So hopefully my record of not losing to Aveley continues. But listen, the strike force of Aveley is any team in the league would like to have one of those. They've got 4. Alex Afori, Freeman, Tom Richardson, and Josiah Sam Banting. So it's frightening. But like I said, we're going to be looking forward to it. We've got a few ex-AV players that will be looking forward to it. And it's another game, but we won't think of that. We've got Bowers next week, champions elect. And we will just try to see if we can get something from them. But by no means, we don't stand a chance really on paper.
So I mean, one of the things you've announced in the last week, of course, and it'd be wrong to actually not mention it. I mean, you've got a new little business you've put together yourself. I mean, how did that come about?
Well, to be honest with you, it's something I should have done many years ago. A lot of people have told me, but I was so focused on other things, and especially like Saturday football, that I didn't really look into it. But it's something I've been working on for the last probably 6 months, and I've got a business partner that we're going to do it together, a lady. So she will do the females, I'll do the boys, and yeah, it's I'm going to see how it goes. I've had a bit of interest already, and I have a good record of working with young players, teenagers. So let's see if we can work with some even youngsters, even younger than that, 4-year-olds up to 11-year-olds, and see if I can turn them into future stars.
And as you said, you've got that sort of reputation of doing that anyway. So I mean, there's got to be probably quite a lot of interest.
Yeah, that's the plan. Yeah, I'm hoping that my record of working with young players, and not just that, if it was a parent who's had a son that's played for me and got a younger kid now, be like, oh, I wouldn't mind Justin going to coach my son. So yeah, I'm hoping to feed off that really.
And I see you're also as well family life. I mean, the young man doing really well in football as well.
Yeah, he loves it. One thing he's got my passion for the game, which my oldest son unfortunately never had. He was technically very good and naturally gifted, but never really loved the game as much as I do. But my young son, yeah, he absolutely loves it. Sometimes, if I'm honest with you, I've had to learn from my oldest son, and I've had to stop him from playing as much football as he does, because I do feel at that age he's playing football 5 times a week, and sometimes I'm telling him it's too much. I think 3 to maybe 4 is probably enough at his age. So like yesterday, I told him he can't play football yesterday. He was upset, but he played football today. He's at West Ham tomorrow. So yeah, he loves it, and as long as he enjoys it, and if he tells me, Dad, I don't want to go to football today, he doesn't go. I wouldn't force him, and yeah, he just enjoys it, and I've said to him, every time he plays a game, or I say to him, how'd you get on today? Do you enjoy it? And as long as he enjoys it, that's what I want him to do, because there's no guarantees in football. Yeah, I mean, as long as he's enjoying it and he's playing with a smile, that's all I want, really.
So I mean, what's the the remit then for next season? I mean, when do you start sort of planning for next season and knowing you'll want to be in the playoffs and getting promoted next season?
Well, to be honest with you, my 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 planning is sort of started, really. If I'm honest with you, I'm speaking to one or two players and told them not to sign contracts and deals for their next clubs for next seasons, and to sit down with me in the summer. Um, yeah, but if I'm honest with you, I think we've got the third best defence in the league. So my priority would be to keep those together,
Mm-hmm.
which I I feel I will, and to really to add the necessary quality where we need it, because our biggest downfall this season has been lack of goals, which is so unnormal for my teams. Every year, my teams are one of the top goal scorers in the league. That's something we struggle with this season. Not and again, it's down to the finances. The finances have gone through the roof. For me, just speaking to a striker, which I could have got in the past, but within the budget, they want 200, 250 a week, and I couldn't afford it. But next season, I'm hoping, when I sit down with the chairman in the summer, that the budget gets increased, and not just that, the quality service that we're going to have, I think, will attract players anyway. It has done already, and we're quite a good catchment area. We're 5-10 minutes from 5-10 minutes from London. We're in Essex, so I think after Haringey and Dulwich, I think we'll probably be the next best club for those London-based London-based players, really.
And you look at it now. I mean, you look at the Barking. What is it? A couple of years now they've been out of the Essex League, and that, I mean, you look at surely teams like Bowers and Pitsea, Haringey must be sort of like a bit of an inspiration for
Oh yeah,
for the whole club. From what they've actually physically done, and what's to say that Barking won't be the next?
exactly. Well, I think out of the four Bostic teams that we've got this season, three of them have got 3G pitches and they all sit in top.
Mm.
So that's no coincidence. And yeah, that as you said, Haringey will be the inspiration, because Harrogate have gone from really nothing to when they put their 3G down. I think they had a man and their dog watching them, but when they put the 3G down, their crowds have gone through the roof, which obviously generates income. So that would be something that we'd be looking to do, bring all the community, all the youth teams into under one hub, and yeah, maybe not copying, but being inspired by the Bowerses and the Harrogates. Yeah, without a shadow of that.
So I suppose one last question for you. What's the inspiration for you then? I mean, what's in the future for Justin Gardner? Is it I mean, are you looking to I'm not saying next year or whatever, but are you looking to go into Vanarama sort of leagues and higher?
Yeah, without a shadow of that I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't aspire to be at those levels. And um, that's my plan. My plan is to manage at the highest level possible. But also, you've got to choose the right chairman. Sometimes people go to jobs and it might look good on paper, but it's maybe cancerous behind the scenes. And I think I've been quite fortunate to pick the right jobs, because I have turned down, especially at Avia, I turned down a number of jobs. And one thing I will say about the Barking chairman, apart from giving me a big budget, he does everything like next to none. He's bang on. He has a plan. He has a structure. He has goals where he wants to get the club to, and so far he's ticking every one of those boxes. And the only complaint and gripe I can have with him is that he doesn't give me a big budget. But hopefully that changes soon, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, I've really enjoyed working for Robert Barkin and Mick O'Shea, who, like I said, we all want the same things. We want youth team players to come through to the first team. We currently have 5 players that have come through the system at Barking in the first team right now, which is tremendous, because they don't have any other clubs on their CV. They're affiliated to the club, and those players will be with us next year. So that means a lot to me. Yeah.
Mm. Well, listen, Justin, it's a massive. I was over the moon to say you accepted to come on the show, and great to have a chat with you on. And great for me to let other people see that maybe the Justin Gardner they see on a Saturday isn't the Justin Gardner that everybody else knows. And it's fantastic to talk to you today. I wish you all the luck in the world with everything going forward with Barking, and of course also in your own career as well going forward.
All right. Thank you very much, David, and I really appreciate it for having me on. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
No worries at all, mate. Good night.
Take care.